Okay, here we are in my home shop. We're talking about how to turn on the Haas machines. We have a mini mill at school and we have a mini mill too. They turn on the exact same way. We have an ST-10. There's a slight difference, which I will put some slides up of showing you how that works. We have a TL1, and that has a massive difference, and I have a whole separate video on how to do that. If I can figure out how to do carding, I'll figure out how to card there. And then we have the TM3, which is similar-ish, other than you have to deal with the dead man switch, and it's just a much bigger machine, so it takes longer and it's the slowest. So before we get started, the very first thing you need before you can run these machines is you got to make sure the air compressor is on. So the easy way to do that is just take the air gun and there's air. So that means we have the air pressure up. After checking the air pressure, the second thing you're going to want to do is we want to open the door, take a look inside, and make sure that during the warm-up or during the startup procedure, nothing's going to collide. It's not ideal to leave a tool in the spindle, but in this case we have one. We just want to make sure that it's not crashed or was left in a situation where when it starts its homing procedure that it hits anything. So that's the next step in the procedure to turn on the machine, is to press the big green button. We should get a loading on the screen, and we should get this. It does take a few minutes to turn on, and we should ultimately get the main light inside the machine should pop on, at least on the mini mills, as well as the ST-10. Ultimately, we should get to a page that looks like this. And the big thing I want to cover is, let's cover the pages. The window that's highlighted in white is the window that's activated. This is going to give you information about spindle and overrides. This gives you setting torques of how hard the axes are moving. We should always be in the green. This gives us cycle time. This red line here tells us any errors, and this blue line is our input. And normally this is where the code we are running or the code that we're active in is working. So these are all kind of grayed out, which means we're working in this window. And because we have a red light, we need to read that first, and it says emergency. So the first step after you read emergency stop is turn the red arrow. That will clear the emergency stop. It's pounded. To actually do the work, we got to hit reset. And you'll notice that the red thing went away. And if you just read down this list, it tells us what to do. Next says press power up. So we're gonna go ahead and press power up. And it says here, door open. So we have to close the door on the machine to do this. And we can hit power up again. And what you will notice is the spindle will first retract up, and then the table will move all the way to the extreme left, and it will come all the way forward towards the operator. Okay, often the next step after we've done this is to hit cancel, and you are gonna have to normally cycle the door before it will do anything. That's how we start up and home the mini mill and the mini mill 2. Next, we're going to talk about how to home the TM3. It's only slightly different. Here we are at the TM3. The startup procedure is very, very similar to the mini mills. So if we come up here, we'll notice we have two alarms going. We have emergency off and alarm. So let's clear the emergency off first. You're going to take the red wheel and just twist it like the other one. And then to clear the alarm one, we are going to hit the reset button. And the reset button again. So the second reset button cleared the alarm. The first reset button cleared the emergency stop. So now we're ready to hit power up. And often you hit power up, it doesn't do anything. And that's because the safety switch was lit up. So over here on the right-hand side of the machine is the safety switch. So we're going to need to keep it held down and press power up at the same time. And now you'll see that the x-axis starts to lift up, and then this axis, the x and the y axes, will move to the extreme left. And you will see that these highlight up, and the machine's no longer moving, but not all three of them are lined up. So normally the next step is just hit power up again, and the Z is going to come down into its home position for a tool change, and then we're going to get all 3 of the axes lit up. Okay, here we are at the ST-10, and we're going to power it up. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to walk up, we're going to open the door, and we want to make sure the turret is already near its home position. If it's down near the spindle, then we have to be very careful about making sure it retracts in the proper direction first to make sure that the turret does not collide with the spindle, because part of this power procedure is this turret is going to rotate, and as you can see we have drill bits and boring bars sticking way out, and if we're too close to the spindle it's going to rotate into the spindle. So just like the other machines, the very first thing to check out is we have emergency stop alarm. So the emergency stop is on. We're going to go ahead and twist it. We're going to close the door too, because it's going to want the door closed to do this. Okay, and then of course we're going to hit the reset button just like the other machines, and now we are going to hit the power up button, and you'll notice now we get this window that says 0 return turret for T, or A, it's going to, if we choose T, it's going to only turn the turret. If we choose A, it's going to do first the X, then the Z, then the turret, and then, or we can hand jog it if the turret is in a location that this isn't going to work. We can hand jog it to a safe location before we proceed back to one of these. Because our turret is in a safe location, we're going to go ahead and use the A command. So we are going to come down to the screen and just press A, and that's going to go away, and then you're going to see the turret is going to rotate first, and then the whole tool post moved very smallly because it's already in its home position. And you'll notice next to the houses appeared next to the X and Z axis. So now to continue, all we got to do is hit cancel on the keyboard, and normally it's going to want you to cycle the door before we hit cycle start. Hopefully this was useful and you learned something interesting. Thanks for watching and have a great day.